Hi, I'm Jessie Nelson, and this is BMI's Get to Know Them Now video series. I'm a film composer, and I've got a series of questions here, so let's get started. First question is, who or what inspired you to start creating music? I picked up piano when I was about 2 years old, kind of just playing little tunes that I would hear by ear. And so music's kind of always been in my life, but it was when I was 10 or 11 and I was watching this film called Meet Joe Black, and I was far too young to be watching that, but that's not the point. I had been watching it with my best friend and was sobbing my way through the movie, and I kept rewinding and playing and crying through this one particular spot and just repeating it, and just not really a normal behavior of a 10-year-old. But anyway, I looked at my best friend and my parents and I was like, I'm gonna do that. And that was film scoring. That was all thanks to Thomas Newman and his brilliant score. And it ties into the next question, which is, have you met your musical icon? And if so, tell us about that meeting and what happened. So I did. I had the great fortune to meet him in 2017. I was part of the Sundance Composers Lab, and he was one of the mentors there. And yeah, I cried like a baby after he left the room. But he was also, he is, I should say, one of the most genuinely warm and kind people out there. Just offered so much advice from his years of experience and encouragement, and it was a really special moment, and I certainly will never forget it, and I'm just so grateful to him and continue to be always inspired by him. The next question is, what is the first thing you do when you get an idea for a new piece? I generally whip out my phone and open the voice memo app and just sing it right in and talk to myself like a crazy person, and try to sometimes make sense of my nonsensical ramblings later on. But yeah, that thing is just full of ideas. Most of them are terrible, but every so often one of them will work, and it's great for those moments at 4 in the morning when you're like, ooh, I have an idea. Maybe that doesn't happen to everybody else, and that's just me being weird. Next question, what has been your mama I made it moment? I don't know that I've had that moment, or if I can even say that I've made it. I don't know if I'll ever say that, but I guess one of the more humbling experiences was actually as a result of the Sundance Labs. I ended up working on a feature film called Jinn by writer and director Nigel Moomin, and just a wonderful experience, and it ended up premiering at South by Southwest, and then had a bit of a national premiere. And so my parents were back in Wisconsin, which is where I grew up. They got to go see it in Milwaukee, which was really special. Last question is, tell us about your creative process. Well, that certainly varies from project to project. It could be, if a project allows for themes, I will always write themes. I'm a sucker for writing themes. And that's usually a really great starting point, especially for series. I feel like if you put in a lot of that time in the front, where you're writing these different themes for characters or situations or whatnot, it will really pay off in the end. It will do a lot of the writing for you, essentially. Otherwise, it's, if not themes, maybe you have some sort of color or gesture for characters, or something identifiable, but really it's just about making sure that you're telling the story correctly. And so then a lot of the time that just ends up being me starting out sitting at the piano and trying to come up with something, and focusing on the perspective of the scene or the emotions. But one of my favorite technique, well, I don't know if it's really a technique, but I guess processes that I like to do when applicable is, if in the film or the story or the project there's a big climactic moment, where everything sort of reaches fruition or whatnot, I like to do or score that scene first, and that way you can pull bits and pieces from that moment and sort of sprinkle them into the moments leading up to that, so that it really feels earned. That doesn't always happen, can't always work that way, but I do like to do that when possible.